Philip, tell me about Dream Defenders.
Dream Defenders came out of the realization, as the senator said, and other people in this audience know, that the people that are murdering the people in our communities are very organized. And so if you're going to mount ample resistance to those forces, then you must be organized. And so we started Dream Defenders with that in mind, knowing that it wasn't just about Trayvon Martin, but it's about a system of police repression, police harassment, racial profiling. We've got a school-to-prison pipeline. We've got a war on drugs that's been afflicting, dividing, and killing our communities since it started. We've got a war on the poor. We've got a war on immigrant communities. And if you're going to mount a fight against a system that has for 400 years perfected the method of repression of people that look like me, look like us, then you've got to have an organized force to fight against that. So we started in Florida with that in mind.
Do you see what Senator McCaskill talks about, the elective office as one way? Because you just bit off a lot, a lot.
Well, I think we the people to do it. I'm hungry. And I think, I think running for office is good, but one of the last things that Dr. King said before he died was that he feared that he had brought us into a burning building. And so if you're getting people elected into a system that by its very nature was meant to cannibalize and kill communities, then you've only done half of the job. And so I think it's a yes and. We need people that look like us, but black officers. I've had interactions with black officers that were way worse than white officers. And so it's not a matter of just having a representative that's on the city council or in the mayor's office or in the police force that looks like you. They've got to come from the community, know the issues of the community, and then it's folks in the community that got to remind them every day that we pay your bills. And we're watching every single day to ensure that the platform on which we elected you with is followed, and also defend you when those people that seek to calibrate the system and right the system as it's been built seek to come at you for that office.
Now here's the thing, Philip. Everybody doesn't agree with you. Everybody doesn't see the root of the problem. Ross Kaminsky is one of them. Ross Kaminsky writes for American Spectator, and he thinks, in fact, that a lot of folks should be looking at themselves in the mirror.
I want to be really clear on this because I agree with what the mayor of Ferguson said, that, middle-class white guys like me haven't lived the African-American life. That said, from what we see on the news, from what we read, there seems to be a real dearth of leadership among African-American young men, especially in their neighborhoods. And the other thing is, if I could react to what Philip said, I get the feeling, I understand this feeling of this system isn't fair. It's biased against us. But then when you start going to this idea, 400 years of repression in a system that's still designed to hurt us and still designed to keep us down, that starts feeling to me like racism against me just because of the color of my skin. My parents weren't here 400 years ago. My family arrived here way after the Civil War. We had nothing to do with it. And I think that a lot of people in the rest of America feel like we're being blamed for things that we didn't cause, and in fact that we would like to help because we should care.
For everybody who's laughing and snickering, no, let me make a point to you. St. Louis, there was a St. Louis County poll done just last week, in which roughly 60% of the people said, I think that this is a problem. And those 60% of the people were black. And then 60% of white people said, I don't think it's a problem. There is a real, true divide. And a lot of people who agree with what Ross Kaminsky said. So I want this conversation to take that into account as well, even if you disagree.
When can I just say,
Sure.
I'm not saying that I don't think there's a problem. I think there's a huge problem, and I think that middle-class white people who don't live near black neighborhoods should understand that it's a problem for them too. What I'm saying is that the language, when it starts being turned in a way that even just implies you're the problem because you're white, it ends the conversation and removes any chance of positive conversation.
Is that what you're saying, Phil?
No, absolutely not. So I never mentioned black, white, or people. I mentioned systems. And so the arrest of Darren Wilson, if it happens, And the conviction of Darren Wilson, if it happens, though the system and the history would tell us that it may not, will not alleviate the problems that are happening here and that are happening around the country. For example, I can sit here with a great amount of empathy and say every day George Zimmerman woke up and saw that black men were evil. Every single day since he was a little kid, he woke up and saw on television, on cops, on the news, on his TV shows and videos that black men were filled with malice and had criminal intent in every movement that they made. And so with a great amount of empathy, I could say that he may not be to blame for a very subliminal reaction to what he did when he saw a black man in a hoodie, right? I'm not mad so much at George Zimmerman. I'm mad at a system every day that stakes its claim on saying that there's a certain segment of society that is a criminal element.